right, welcome back to another episode of the Beggars Canyon Boys. We're back. We're back in the studio. Man, we could probably think of like some clever Star Wars name for the studio.
Yeah, like an Echo-based equivalent almost, but for us, we can workshop.
Let's think of it live right now.
Yeah.
We just finished watching the excellent 1984 television movie Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure.
Yeah, back to Star Wars films. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a whole full-length movie.
Yeah.
I guess it truly was a full 90-minute movie.
Did start feeling pretty long towards the end there.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. When they were fighting the Gorax or whatever at the end, I was like, okay, can this be over, please?
Yeah, especially since we've already jumped to the end of the movie, but they just that fight sequence just seems so repetitive. Like they hit him in the head, he goes down, he gets up. They hit him in the head, he goes down, he gets up.
Yeah, there's a lot of just cutting back and forth between his face going and then the Ewok on the ground just stabbing at the air with a spear.
I also note as just sort of a movie trope that has been ingrained into a lot of at least older films, but new films do this too very, very often. I just think it's so funny when you see a giant and it's swinging at the air and it's moving so slowly in comparison to the other characters. That's not how anything works. Why is it operating in slow motion?
I know. I've always thought that about big stuff falling in movies too. It always falls really slowly if it's a huge thing. But yeah, you're right. Big giant monsters with hands, they always have to swing them real slow.
Yeah. It also, because it's just pretty clearly a man in a suit, right?
Yeah. There were a couple... When he's falling down the gorge, I think that was a stop motion model. But most of the shots are, a guy in a suit.
Wasn't very well orchestrated choreography wise, I guess, too. He just swings at nothing very often. And it's not even it looks like he made an attempt to hit the person. It's just he'll be in his own personal bubble and swinging with his arms sort of tucked close to him. And it's okay. It's very intentionally missing.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's probably just because he's supposed to be 15 feet tall and they're all shot separately and stuff, and so he's not actually ever making contact with anybody.
I know.
No, I know you know that's how it works.
Talking about the excruciating little last bit there, which was I think the worst of it, to be honest.
If we're going based on my personal enjoyment of watching it, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's the metric I have to judge this on, because it's by no means good. This is not a good movie.
No, not at all. No.
But I think this is more worth watching than the holiday special. I would say personally.
That's interesting. I
enjoyed it more. I had more fun.
I'm glad that you felt that way, and I did not hate watching it. It was pretty funny. Pretty bad, a fun, bad movie to watch, and had some funny Star Warsy moments
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I won't say. Well, I want it because it'll just rabbit hole us away, and I want us to sort of do this in proper order of operations.
Sure. But yeah, I guess for me personally, compared to the holiday special, I know I already said this to you, but that just has more weirdness to it and more variety.
Yeah.
Where it is boring for sure. And I don't know. They're probably about the same level of boring to me, but the holiday special at least has crazy things that I would have never expected to
Yeah.
The guy with the volcano hair pouring the drink into his head, that's just something I never thought I'd see.
And a little robot instructional video where the guy's
holy
breaking
shit.
Down.
Yeah, so that one for me personally is more enjoyable because it's just breaking my brain to try and make sense of what's happening.
Yeah, to the credit of that, there's a lot more diversity and creativity, I guess. A little lazy in this one.
Yeah.
So it's not a high bar to beat. But
Sure.
I mean, I know we pointed it out over and over, but there's like so many animals, just like normal animals in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Just like you see a whole farm basically, and it's just like
Truly.
no effort put into making anything seem at all foreign, like aside from the Ewoks themselves.
Yeah, seriously. Wicket's house has a whole menagerie of animals there. They literally have goats, horses, chickens, rabbits, a ferret.
We saw an owl in this.
Yeah, Logray had an owl in his
There's a mouse
house.
even.
Yep, a lizard.
Yeah.
I guess there's lizards on Dagobah too, though. So
yeah.
But like on Dagobah, I guess the only reason why this is like worth talking about is because it's interesting how, with what we were talking about too about the costumes of the Ewoks, like how much cheaper they look in this, even though I think they are the same costumes. Yeah, reused. So maybe they're like worn out a little bit, but like it really gives credit to, I don't know, almost every aspect of the filmmaking process. Lighting, cinematography, set design, like production design, shot composition, and then even like having enough staff or attention to detail that like right before the camera rolls, you know, you got people coming up and like fixing little bits on the Ewok's hair and everything, making sure it looks good and everything. Like I think we were talking about that with Chewbacca in the holiday special too, how he just looks like a Hollywood Boulevard version of himself.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's the same costume, but like.
Yeah, that is a good point. If it is the same costumes, like, seriously, huge credit to, or I guess really huge slight to the makers of this film, because they look pretty bad at some points. I mean, I said it, but they literally look like stuffed animals I used to own. Like the raggedness of their fur just looks like literally like an old stuffed animal I've had for a decade. Like these look like dirty old Halloween costumes, kind of. That are scary looking in the face too. Like it feels like there's way less emoting going on.
Yeah, truly. I mean, we pointed out last time with the documentary, like the woman directing them and that thing she said about emotion coming through.
Yeah.
Like,
where was she?
Yeah, like that. I guess that's what is so interesting to me about it, is like how easily something like that can be a complete disaster with just less care and attention put into it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I think the Ewoks is a good example of that, but I think that's true about like most things in Star Wars, that it could be so stupid if it was just like a little less taken genuinely, or like had that care put into it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know any other reason this was actually made aside from just like, I know you said George Lucas's kids, or like his kids like the Ewoks?
Yeah, I mean,
but why this? Like of anything after the trilogy, you know?
Truly, I guess, you know, the Ewoks were pretty popular among little kids.
Yeah.
George Lucas's daughter in particular liked them, and so he had the idea. He wanted to do another like TV special thing.
Because the first one was like hugely successful.
I don't think so, but I think maybe it was like, oh, that was such an embarrassment. Now that I kind of have more control over like Lucasfilm and like everything, I could make like a higher quality version of a TV movie. And you know,
yeah.
I guess
it's more movie at least.
Yeah, yeah. But at the time, like TV movies were pretty popular and a common thing, I think. And,
kind of like teleplay era, right?
Yeah. So I guess people probably just, you know, had a different expectation of like what the quality of a TV movie was going to be compared to something you see at the theater.
Yeah, I actually imagine this might have looked pretty good, like for a TV movie at the time.
It was nominated for I think for an Emmy for like visual effects.
I mean, a lot of the monsters when we did see them looked pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Especially that
puppetry and stuff, stop motion.
The boar wolf thing.
Yeah, that thing was really cool.
That was good.
That is also one of the best moments of the movie when like they're being chased by that, and like they have to hide in the husk of the tree, and like it's trying to claw its way inside. Like
Yeah.
that looked cool. That like felt real. Felt like high stakes.
It actually felt dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, and I like the shots. They're a little silly, but of it going through the forest from like the 90-degree angle, peripheral or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's just its head kind of going like back and forth and the front of its arms clawing through.
Yeah.
Have you seen Hellraiser?
Yes, I have.
That's what it was reminding me of at the end of Hellraiser, you know, when she's like in the hallway and that giant thing is like chasing her down the hall.
Yeah.
Like that side shot, I think they do a pretty similar shot there.
By the way, have you seen the following Hellraiser films?
I've seen only the second one.
Did you like the first one?
Yes, I really liked the first one.
Interesting.
Actually.
I was like felt very lukewarm about it, and I was like, should I continue this at all? And I've not watched any others because also they made a remake too, right?
Yeah, I at some point there was just a new one, like a Hulu one.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think that's why I watched it. I was like, maybe I'll check out the original now. But anyway, yeah, sorry, non sequitur.
That's okay. Well, real quick, I'll say the first time I watched the original, I thought like, okay, I really like some of these effects and stuff, but it's not my favorite movie. And then the second time I watched it, a couple years later, I was like, I don't even really know why, but I was just like, damn, this is working for me right now. It's good.
Yeah, weird. I remember being bored for like a majority of the movie, and then towards the end it was getting more interesting, but then things like ended.
Yeah. I guess at that time I was just kind of really interested in what all the actors were doing and stuff. Like, I don't know. I was in the right mood for it the second time I watched it, I guess. I mean, not saying that you would like it more the second time. That was just my experience.
I mean, like I said, lukewarm, but also it's a popular franchise in and of itself, right? I mean, there's a few of them. There's like very notable imagery from that.
Oh, yeah. The Pinhead guy is super iconic design. But also pretty... I think it's fine if we go on some tangents here because there's not... crazy amount to say about the movie, but
I mean, yeah, true. We could be talking about this or the tickle fight. So.
I really like the designs of all the Cenobites, is what I was gonna say. The big guy with the little sunglasses, he's really cool.
They're pretty interesting. Yeah, I like them a lot.
Mm-hmm. The second one is worse than the first one.
Oh, I was hoping it would be better than the first one. See, because. Like I said, I wasn't completely locked in with the first one.
Yeah.
I needed a little more. Hoping it could deliver.
But it has potentially even like crazier like monster effects and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't think it's as good of a like story or movie, but the effects are insane. So that's cool.
Okay.
That's worth the watch for me, is what I'm saying. But I'm a sucker for any like high quality, disgusting effects and things. Like
really coore effects here though as well.
Okay. Yeah, to bring it back to the Caravan of Courage. That wolf boar thing is probably the best looking thing in the whole movie, I think.
I did also really like, I mean, I agree with you that is the best, but I did like the close up of the spider's head a lot that we get.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks very like nostalgia, creepy.
I agree. I think when they showed the whole body, it was very silly looking, but the actual face with like the 3 fangs or whatever was pretty cool. All right, so I guess to just give a little, I think we went off on something while you were asking like, why did this happen? But
because it can't just be because his daughter linked.
Well, no, I think it's a combination of that and him just wanting to make like a children's TV program thing. And it was originally being pitched as like a 30-minute special about Ewoks or whatever, and nobody wanted it. But then ABC was like, well, if you can turn it into a thing that'll fill 2 hours of TV, we'll do it as like the TV movie of the week. And so he also wanted to give a lot of people in Lucasfilm opportunity to have like a more lead role on a smaller project.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is just what that became.
Seems like there's a few Star Wars things like that. I mean, I can't think of anything specific because the names are like still hard for me to remember early on, but I feel like I've heard multiple times like this person worked on the film doing like sound or something, and then they also wrote one of the books, or like this person like worked on the film doing this, and they also like did something for like I don't know, like the TV special or something like that. Right?
Yeah. I think George Lucas is really one of these guys who just gives people opportunities if he likes you. That's what it kind of seemed to be. Like Joe Johnston, who did the, art design for this movie, but also all three of the original trilogies. Well, the second two, he was like lead visual effects designer or supervisor or something. But in the first one, he still did all the, or not all, but a lot of the sketches and the designs for the ships and the locations and things like that. And he had no experience with movies before then. But then, yeah, like you said, he got promoted to being like lead special effects artist in the second and third movie, and then went on to write the maybe the most illustrious part of his career, the writer and illustrator of Tebow's Adventure.
Of course. Which we covered last week on the last episode.
If you missed the thrilling recap and analysis of Tebow's Adventure, A Tale of Magic and Suspense.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, well, I honestly do think like there is also interesting merit to me getting to experience things this way again, because like, for example, soaking up all the Star Wars lore that just like comes out sort of sequentially. You just showed me earlier, you mentioned there was like an Ewok cinematic clip from a video game that you showed me real quick because I had no spoilers or anything. But like the little light creatures that were in this popped up there.
Yeah, and I did not remember that at all.
Yeah, and this is your first time watching this movie, right?
Yeah, I should say.
So you wouldn't have known of those things even.
No.
Unless they pop up somewhere else. I don't know.
I mean, they could be in the cartoon or something too, but I don't know.
But it is just like interesting because, regardless of hit or miss projects, they are all doing world building still.
Yeah, truly. Even if it's like world building that doesn't really matter for the larger story, like it's fun when you see stuff like that where it's like, okay, well, people care and they thought, okay, for this video game, like we're gonna look into as much Ewok stuff as we can, so we'll use like absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like this movie was pretty popular amongst like little kids when it came out.
Mm-hmm. I think I would have really enjoyed this as like a 7-year-old, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the guy I was looking at, just a quote. Yeah, I just want to make sure I had his name right. Eric Walker, the guy who plays Mace in this, the main character of the movie.
The star.
Yeah. He was saying that like a lot of fans, because of course like he's had to make a career out of like his connection to Star Wars, and he shows up to all these conventions and things all the time.
Yeah, wow.
And
that's interesting.
I say that like I know what I'm talking about. I saw a couple pictures of him at conventions.
I assume he does at least get solicited to go to them and then would do it for like autograph money.
Yeah. But he said people, would come up to him and say that they, would pretend to be Mace when they're like playing on the playground with their friends and stuff like that. So just what we were saying about how we would have liked it when we were little. Like, I could have seen myself thinking he was cool when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, and that's interesting. It's funny to me, like the type of kid, I guess just like what's in your memory most fresh, but like if I'm playing Star Wars, I'm not being Mace, and I'm not messing around with Ewoks, okay?
Yeah, absolutely not. But if
I get a lightsaber, and we're probably on Hoth, just saying.
Oh yeah. The other little behind the scenes things that I wanted to say before we really break it down and go scene by scene analysis. John Cordy, the director of this, had directed this animated movie co-directed called Twice Told Tales that was produced by Lucasfilm, so he had a little relationship with George Lucas through that. And the notable thing about that movie, I guess, and interesting that he would want to work with him again, but also maybe why he got demoted to like a TV movie, was because that movie cost like, I don't know, $5 million or something, and made $3,000 at the box office. Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
And he said it was an animated film?
Yeah. It's called Twice Told Tales. I haven't seen it.
Anything about why it failed so miserably? Was it just like they could not distribute the movie? It almost sounds like that would be the issue, right? Because that's so low.
Yeah, I know. That's like no one saw it. I don't know. It was animated with like cutouts, prints and stuff. So maybe it just looked really unappealing to people or something. I don't know.
Okay. Hey, well, I guess he's on an upward trajectory with this project then. So
this is definitely seen by more people. So
yeah.
If that's your metric. And then the screenwriter of this. So George Lucas has a story credit on this, but it's weird. I don't even know, but I would assume that George Lucas was just like, okay, write something about like kids lost on Endor with hanging out with Ewoks and they're looking for their parents. Like he probably just thought of like they crash land and they get separated from their parents and they go find them. If I had to guess.
Yeah, with how messy and like contradictory the moment to moment of this film is, I cannot fathom that the same mind that like did the trilogy like laid out the roadmap for this film in any sense other than like 2 sentences like what you said.
Yeah, that has to be my guess. However, I was then reading things that said that George Lucas, it says Lucas himself directed the film's reshoots and edited some of the film's scenes. After production was complete, Lucas and Smith, Thomas Smith, who's the producer of this movie, but before that was the manager of Industrial Light and Magic, the effects company.
Yeah.
So it said after production was complete, Lucas and Smith oversaw post-production. At Lucas's suggestion, an actual hang glider was built and flown in the film by an actor in an Ewok suit.
Wow.
So at least that is some more involvement than I would have expected right there.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, like I told you in another episode, I'm a little dubious going into like the prequels of George Lucas directing them, just because the first Star Wars movie I had some like direction issues with. So I don't know if his creative hand directing wise is something I am a fan of. Hard to tell at this point, but
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But also, I quite like the style of the first movie, even though it is. I have to say I really like the way that Empire Strikes Back looks quite a bit more. But it'll be really interesting to talk about the comparisons. Like, I guess all I'll say is he was a young man when he made Star Wars.
Yeah. Do you think I will appreciate, because, we heard after I finished the first trilogy, I appreciated the first film a little bit more.
Yeah.
You think I'll appreciate it even more after watching the prequels?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But the prequels will be so fascinating to hear what you think about, I think.
Man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. But yeah, back to this one, this awesome one that we really have a lot to say about. The little documentary I was looking for before we started recording, and I'm sure I could find it if I looked harder, but Eric Walker and Warwick Davis were given like a camera by Lucasfilm, and they were kind of encouraged to like shoot a little documentary together of the making of. So like these two 11-year-old boys, Warwick Davis might be like 13 or something, made a little making of documentary while they were filming it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that would probably be pretty cool to see.
Is that what we just saw like in the YouTube search when we were looking for that Ewok clip before? Or is that that's not it? Because that looked more professionally done.
Oh, the one that we watched like for a couple seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that was like just some YouTube video essay person.
Is this film one accessible?
According to what I was reading, it said in like 2016, Eric Walker finally put it up on his YouTube. But
yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see from like. I was wondering like what it must be like at that age to be starring in this television spin-off, or I mean not the spin-off of Star Wars that's a television movie. Like,
yeah,
what do you get treated like on set? Like, what do you like? How do you feel about it? If there's any insight we can glean from that.
Hey, very nice.
It'd be interesting.
I would be interested. I mean, I'm sure it's a cool documentary. Even maybe just the fact of seeing how like two young kids who were like pretty involved in the Hollywood system and stuff at that point. Well, I don't know how involved, but whatever. Like just how young kids would make a documentary about the making of a movie like that.
Yeah.
Something.
Gotta be huge Star Wars fans too, right? I imagine they are. Who knows?
Yeah,
They could not be, I guess.
At least Eric Walker said he was. But he's like, I was too young when the original movie came out to see it in the theater, and then when Return of the Jedi came out, I saw it like 10 times in the theater.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Live and breathe Ewok, that boy does.
Yeah, yes. All right, Yoda. What I guess the other thing I was saying was Bob Carrau, or Carew, Carrau, Carrau.
Mm-hmm.
The screenwriter for this, which we mentioned, not great.
Yeah.
Was just George Lucas's personal assistant.
Oh.
So
like maybe another opportunity given type situation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, he just, if he has the ability to, or I don't know, if you like him and have a good relationship with him, maybe he'll give you a chance to do something.
Yeah. Hey, we gotta cross paths with George Lucas.
Yeah, I think
let's write a Star Wars film.
Mm-hmm. You'd probably really like us right away.
You think so?
Sir, I would be pretty not have any idea what to say to him. I feel like
I'd be like, "Hey, pretty good movies, dude, but add a few notes."
Yeah.
And he would just put his arm around me in sort of like a fatherly embrace, and we'd walk off into the Millennium Falcon.
That sounds pretty beautiful.
Well, you're shocked. You're stunned.
I know. I'm just kind of imagining that in my head.
It's an awesome sight, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to talk more about this movie?
Yeah. Let's just say, I mean, we pretty much already said what the plot was in describing what George Lucas would have said about this, but like, there's so much just like bullshit in this movie.
Yeah. It's literally just like hey, we have to get our parents back, but there's like little trials along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, really, I mean, this has got to be like the easiest movie to write, first of all. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like we said while we were watching it, like, the main problem is they are just trying to get to their parents and rescue them from this big monster man. But every scene is essentially like a super minor problem happens really quick and then is immediately resolved. The two exceptions being, well, not just two, but the main ones being when they're being chased by the wolf boar thing.
Yes, which stood out because of that also.
Yeah. And had really cool stop motion, honestly, on that. When they showed the full body shots of that thing, it looked sweet. And then, less cool, but also like, you know, when you're watching a movie like this and like something happens, you're kind of like, hey, okay. So I think when he like touches the water and gets stuck underwater, we were kind of like, oh, like that's like a little bit of danger. But like you said, the way it was resolved is just like the little girl being like, Wicket, the stick that you got.
Yeah, so really, really dumb too, and it is one of those things where it's like the writer's just like, hey, no one's gonna think about this too much, right? I hope they won't. And to their credit, probably a lot of the kids aren't thinking about it who are like consuming this as the target audience. But there is like a sequence earlier when they're about to like go on their quest to get the parents back where they assemble this team and they all get their totems. And
From
like,
Logray.
Yes, yeah, shout out.
Mm-hmm.
But they all get their totems, and it's like, yeah, that magic stick is one of the totems. And obviously these totems, like, they each come into play at, like, a crucial moment where someone has to use it. Or, I don't even remember if they all do.
Not really. Like
two of them don't. Like, the wings.
The wings, I don't understand what they were doing.
Yeah.
They used the stone, the candle, I guess.
But it's just so dumb, yeah, because it's like, oh no, like, this is the problem, and then, yeah, like, it's literally just, it's, like, so quick, too. It's a 180, just to be like,
yeah.
Well, just use the totem, like, fix it. Okay, like, we're good.
Let me just hypothesize this to you. I don't know if that's the right word, but is it lazy and dumb, or is it mythic and classic? Think about, like, Greek myths have storytelling like that, where like, you know, someone gets a magical item for no reason really, and then it is the thing that can counter the problem that they have.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree with you that it's lazy and bad in this movie, but every time I watch stuff like this, or something like that happens in a movie, I'm always caught between, like, are they, like, paying homage to, like, the roots of storytelling, or are they just being lazy?
That is a really interesting thought, actually. Like, does stump you a little when you think about it deeper, but I think where it, like, falls through here is that there was, like, almost, and I guess, like, maybe it doesn't fall through, because in myths, there's, like, prophecy, too, but there was almost, like, a clairvoyance associated with, like, this object and, like, the path that had to be followed to get the parents back, when all of this is, like, a random event anyway.
Yeah, like, Logray knew that Mace would touch the water and get stuck under the water.
Yeah.
Like, that the water had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was no connection to, like, the giant, the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Really just a random thing that they encountered. Like, if he also had the foresight to know, like, that was going to happen, couldn't he have just been like, hey, don't touch the water, dummy?
Yeah, true. That's pretty true. Wait, what? He had to have used it. What did his arrowhead inside the rock do? Never mind.
It was like
never
a compass
mind. I remember.
To the giant. I think, though, the reason you're like, what did it do, is because it wasn't satisfying at all.
No.
For being such a hyped up, like, item.
Yes. And I think that's where the other big important difference lies with something like Perseus and the mirror shield against Medusa or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that comes out of nowhere and is the perfect counter for Medusa. However, it's really cool. Like,
that's it. Yeah.
They forgot to, like, make anything cool.
True.
I can really forgive, like, logical stumbles when it's, like, still badass.
Yeah, I allow a bit more, like, suspension of disbelief if there's, like, grand spectacle or something involved.
Exactly.
But yeah.
This is just sticking a stick into the water.
Yeah. It's so bad, too. Also, just, like, such a dumb moment that, like, the 4-year-old with them is the one who solved it.
Yeah.
Not even the one who gave them the totems.
Yeah.
She has to tell him.
Yeah.
Actually, it's making me mad the more I think about this.
I know, and you were trying to say that, like, the point of the movie is, like, oh, like, this kid kind of thinks the Ewoks are stupid animals and stuff, and then he realizes, like, wait, they're kind of just like us. They're, you know, very capable and smart, but it seems like that's what they're trying to say, but then every, like, action that happens is still, like, the human's idea.
Yeah.
Except for, I guess, the giant axe catapult seesaw. That was the Ewok's idea.
Yeah, and a pretty flawless execution, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Terrible moment in the movie.
Yeah.
I remember just, like, I think we were literally saying, like, this can't be happening. Like,
yeah.
It's not, they're not about to do what we think they're about to do.
I saw him setting it up on the rock like that, and he stepped onto the one end.
I was like, okay, I hope to God they're just, like, using that rock to prop it up so they can, like, get the end of the giant axe like on the cage that the parents are trapped in, which is like a weird bird cage also.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, what was the giant doing with them? Just keeping them as pets?
I guess so. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, please let it be like they're making just the ramp that he can walk up, not this.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too. Speaking of that monster, like the Gorax or something, I could look it up, but I really don't care.
Urak. I don't know.
He looked pretty cool the first time that we saw him, because the opening of this movie, man, this is another weird thing, but I'll stay on task.
It's hard.
The opening of this movie is the parents walking around the forest. It literally, I was like, this is like the beginning of E.T. They're just flashlights in the forest.
Yeah.
With a crashed spaceship and stuff. But then the monster shows up and presumably kidnaps them right there. And he looks pretty cool the first time he shows up, but it's also like nighttime, very shadowy. You can't see the detailing on it, and it's just kind of this scary big monster. And it's also, that is like one of the more successful like perspective effects shots that made him look really big.
Yeah, he looks the biggest there. It's
Yes.
like when they're in the cave later on, it makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Like, you can really tell it's like human sized sometimes.
And the cave is so brightly lit the whole time that you can really see like the latex on the chest and stuff like that. Like, just it really starts feeling like a Halloween store.
Again, a credit though to like the editing of all the creatures and whatnot in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Because they did such a good job of like, for the most part, making things look pretty like it would be like edited in a way where it becomes believable through that, you know?
Yeah.
Even though we know it's not real.
Yeah.
Like, we know it's a puppet or something, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, like, yeah, probably like Yoda and Jabba the Hutt are the biggest examples of that, of like, fully not, well, you know, but I guess the more accurate comparison would be to like Chewbacca or something, because this was like a guy in a suit. But
yeah,
Chewbacca, I know you're not the biggest fan, but he looks pretty good.
I'm a Chewbacca hater. Let that be known.
Okay. Yikes. Yeah. Well, I think he looks pretty good in the movies.
Yeah, well, I think he looks pretty bad, but I think his design is just hideous to me, and I think they successfully execute it.
Yeah, well,
so
it's the best that Wookiees ever look. I mean, spoilers to video games and stuff, but there's Wookiees in certain video games and cartoons and things, and they do not know how to like model them in like 3D models or animation.
I'm like trying to imagine what kind of textures they could be putting on the Wookiees.
Yeah. Just thinking of this one episode of Star Wars Rebels that has Wookiees in it. They're just like, this is like some of the worst looking shit I've ever seen.
Weird. Do they almost like not even look like Wookiees?
Yeah, not really.
Huh.
But anyway, yeah, that what I was thinking of and almost got sidetracked on about the opening of the movie is the movie starts, like we said, with the parents looking for their kids in the woods. The kids are gone, but they're standing right in front of their crashed ship. We don't know where these people come from or who they are or anything about them.
We never learn.
No.
Ever.
Never.
Which is really shocking, actually.
Yeah, we get actually zero backstory about them. Other than like that one part where he's like, oh, I know Dad used to get mad at me and I used to get in trouble.
Yeah, what the heck? What was good? It felt like I missed something, and then it also felt like something else was going to happen with that, but so much other weird stuff happened that just left my mind. But now that you're reminding me of it, like, they never resolve that.
I think it was just supposed to be like, oh, you know, kids misbehave and they wish they were better and could say I love you to their parents.
Yeah, there was like a cherish your parents thing to this film.
Mm-hmm. At the end, the dad said, I'm proud of you. So that was kind of the payoff to that.
Yeah, I guess so.
But what I wanted to point out is that they don't say anything about like how long the kids have been gone or anything in the opening. They're just like, And, you know, I'm really fucking sorry if actually they do and I missed like one line or something, but it's not clear. And so they're like, oh, where are they? Where are they? We told them to stay by the ship. And they wandered off or whatever. Then we cut away from that and get the title card and whatever. And when we go back, the kids are in the ship.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, they say something like, I miss Mom and Dad. We've been gone for so long. When it's like, from what we've seen of them, the first day still. And...
Dude, I was trying to work out the timeline, but it made no sense.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, where did they... When did they get lost? Where did they go? They went back to the ship. So I guess if I'm doing work for the movie, they walked, you know, away, and then they came back and found that their parents were gone and kidnapped by the monster.
It was really confusingly done, though.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but in that vein, you were also bringing up a lot how the main kid, Mace, is just like line to line, like super bipolar, just kind of going crazy with his thoughts on things, which, you know, you could have all kinds of excuses for, but it's pretty excruciating when...
Yeah. And honestly, part of me, the acting's pretty rough.
Sure.
Part of me doesn't blame the actor, though, because the script is really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how do you do... it truly is, like, say one line, meaning, like, one thing, and then say the next line that means the complete opposite. Like, that's very hard to, like, rationalize and make sound natural, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, any adult would look bad doing that role, too. But, like, especially for the way that, like, they direct kids and stuff, like, I was thinking about that, of, like, you know, the process of, like, the individual shots of things and stuff. It's like, okay, this is the line where you're sad. You know, I can just imagine them, like, shooting him and being like, okay, like, this line, like, you're sad about your parents. This line, you're being, like, sarcastically rude about the Ewoks. This line, you're really grateful for their help, and you know, are saying thank you. And then when you edit all that together, it's just boom, 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 and it's like, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
What does he think about anything?
Yeah, that's a good point. There probably was a lot of, like... Probably the reason it seems so jarring is also because the editing of it. And again, I think it's like, it's truly just a script issue, because to the editor's credit, what do you do when like, this is all you have to work with?
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't have, like, a lot of budget for, you know, extra takes and things like that. Like, they probably spent most of the budget on the stop motion stuff.
Yeah.
And a few of the effect shots.
That glider. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Getting the insurance since it was real.
Yeah, I guess so. That looked pretty good, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, at the beginning of the movie, Wicket's brothers are also missing, and they make some very weak attempts to do, like, parallels between the family dynamics. At the end, like, the dad is like, to Wicket's dad, like, we're both fathers of some great kids, or something like that.
Yeah, then each of the kids says their names is what happened, right?
Yeah.
Or the other's name.
Cinder.
Yeah.
Cinder. Wicket. Yeah, and then freeze frame on her face.
Heartwarming.
Yeah.
Touching. Endearing.
Beautiful.
Movie for my country.
Hey, a funny part about it was that there was a narrator.
Oh, yeah.
And he would kind of not be there for a long time, but then come in when stuff was, like, confusing.
But he was also kind of useless.
Yeah, he did. Well, yes. We could have understood everything that was happening without him saying it.
But there were also things like that I didn't understand, that the Ewoks were communicating with each other, that I was like, hey, the narrator could be used here.
Yeah, true. Um, I guess he explained to us that Wicket's brothers were missing. We probably wouldn't have got that from just their grunts and stuff. But the part where he's explaining like Logray giving them all the items and everything, like that I actually understand. When you put a bunch of like items in a circle and you have a shaman guy with a stick and then a bunch of people come up, I know what that is just by looking at it. You know?
Yeah. Or the other one that like, but because really I think you're right. The initial narrator line, which is like about the two missing Ewoks, like, that is helpful. And you think like, oh, okay, the narration is going to be helpful. But then after that, it like does really fade away and like pops up randomly. But yeah, the other instances are like that one, and then also when he was like right after that in the glider. This is just sort of indicative to you, like, okay, the narrator is going to be useless. Like when they pass like the shiny object as he's gliding. Like we see it and he flies over it, and it's like, and he noticed a shiny object as he flew over.
Right.
And it's like, what? We didn't need that.
Even a child can understand what's happening there.
You made it glisten.
Like, You
had a visual indicator.
You had a wide shot of him, then the shiny thing, and then a close-up of his face.
Yeah.
So, like, to everyone in the world, that means that he saw that thing.
It's just baffling to me that the narrator, like, narrates that. But then again, like, there are moments where it's like, an Ewok will talk to an Ewok for, like, a minute, and it's like, I can get the gist of, like, what they're saying. Yeah. But it'd be nice to have some more, like, emotional analysis out of it, I guess. Like, what they're feeling.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
I know. Most of the time. Except for, like, Wicket's mom was just, like, crying that they were leaving and stuff the whole time.
Yeah. She was sad with that baby.
Mm-hmm.
With her baby.
That's just, like, kind of what moms do. But, hey, Mace and Cinder's mom at the end epically shot the thing off the cliff, but it did climb back up afterwards.
I wonder what that family was doing. What the heck are they doing?
Yeah, they don't
say
anything about them or where they're from. She says that they don't have furry animals where we're from. That's all we get about where they're from.
And then they reference bears, though, again.
Yeah. Oh, and again, bears. When, we are presumably, like, in Star Wars still.
Yeah. More animal. Just Earth animals.
Yeah.
Which, to the credit of the original trilogy, I don't think there's any lines I can think of that are, like, they say something where you're like, oh, that's weird that, like, the space person is mentioning, I don't know, like, the Earth stuff,
Yeah.
Like, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, like, weird.
Well, that would be really weird.
Yeah.
But I do know what you mean. The only one that sticks out to me, and I don't even think it's bad, is when Han is, like, going out of Echo Base to get Luke, and they're like, well, you're going to die out there. Then I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
So he does say, I'll see you in hell. Which I guess, like, they could have hell in Star Wars. It's believable enough.
Yeah, that could also be a planet.
Yeah. Or, just a religion that has hell as a concept in Star Wars. I don't care.
Hell's pretty unanimous, like, across a lot of religions, despite having, like, slight variations in naming. I could see, like,
Yeah, I mean, at that point we're arguing, not like we're arguing, but I mean, like, if you were to argue about that, you would argue, like, well, why are they speaking English? Why are there humans?
I think they've, maybe they haven't, I don't know, I think they've said, like, oh my god before, too. In Star Wars films. Maybe they don't, though. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe. They say...
I feel like...
C-3PO says thank the maker, but, he's talking about... Because he was built by someone.
I initially wanted to say, I feel like I heard them say, like, Christ or Jesus Christ, but...
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but I was like, no, I don't think that. So maybe God, but maybe not, honestly. I don't know.
It's a good question, though. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but especially in the original trilogy, I would think it's pretty possible before they were, like, so locked down on that kind of stuff. So this the movie goes on and on. We talked about the kid's contradiction. The girl's sick. She gets medicine. She's better. stuff like that. You know, they're setting you up early on for what kind of things are going to happen in this. I guess, you know, we could talk about how we feel bad for that miniature horse that was carrying a huge amount of weight and looked like its legs were shaking in a few shots.
Man, restricted one of its eyes, so it's already like visually impaired, and then like having all that stuff on its back. It looked bad. Pretty bad look, honestly.
Yeah.
American Humane, where are you at? What are you doing?
And they said they had some Humane Society on the movie, but who knows to what extent and even how locked down they were on that kind of stuff back then. Like,
yeah, especially with a TV movie.
Right.
I imagine like there's different.
They're just out in the woods on location. Like, yeah, there's one cool.
I have a moment we could talk about as well. If there's another interesting one.
Well, I'm saying he's cool, but he's not that cool. But the one Ewok that knocks the tree down, like
that's who I was gonna mention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was his name? Like Chalk Tuck or something?
Who knows, man?
Yeah, some. Oh. Chukatruck. Yeah. All right. Well, what were you gonna say about him?
Oh, I just thought that was another one of those contradictory moments for Mace. That was very funny, though.
Oh yeah.
Because like he wants nothing. What? Why does he want? Oh, because he chops down the tree.
Hit him with a tree.
Yeah, it almost like crushes his sister.
Yeah. You could have really hurt us.
Yeah, he like pushes him too as he's walking away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like very comical watching him like have beef with an Ewok who can presumably understand him, but I guess they can't understand Ewoks.
Yeah.
There's like the moment where he's like, "Okay, Ewok, like you think you're so strong, like you're such a brave warrior. Like I don't think you're strong at all." And then like he's like, "Watch this," and he throws the axe into a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like that moment stood out to me because like he talks to the Ewok for like a great length of time, where it is not how it's done elsewhere in the movie, where it's like, okay, I'm trying to like piece together, like we're trying to communicate because we speak different languages.
Like Star Cruiser, like yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I think sometimes they just talk to him normally, and other times they're like, eat, and pointing at their mouth and stuff.
But like that, it completely understood what was going on.
Yeah, you're right.
Took his axe through it in his axe, which is kind of a cool Robin Hood-esque moment.
Yeah, that was cool. He split the handle of his axe with his axe.
But I was like, this is so like the language barrier disappears every once in a while.
Yeah. I did not think about that, but that's a good point. I thought that guy, Chalk Truck or whatever, his outfit was pretty cool. He had like the wooden breastplate on, kind of.
Yeah.
He was probably the coolest of all the Ewoks.
I agree, which is not saying too much.
Not a high bar, but hey, so there's another exciting part after Mace is freed from the water, where he's helping his sister get back onto the abused miniature horse, and he's like, "Come on, Wicket!" Wicket's literally just hanging on a tree branch, and he lets go, and the branch makes a loud noise. So the horse that his sister has just got inside of runs off. But Chalk Truck immediately hops on a horse. Well, I say immediately. Actually, Mace is like, "Come on, we have to go get her."
Yeah, really good Mace.
Yeah, thank you. But he's capable. He chases her down on the horse and.
It is actually kind of a cool moment for him. Like legitimately, it like struck me as like hey, you were not. I mean, you did a complete flip on this character, but Mace wasn't feeling him. You know, maybe thought he wouldn't be super helpful, even though directly after that he begs him to go. Again, you gotta like pick and choose which parts of this movie like to actually pay attention to, I guess. But it was like a proved his worth as a warrior with them. Like he can handle himself. I thought it was like interesting they made that character solely take care of that rather than be like Mace or someone.
Yeah, I I agree. I mean, he did the most stuff out of all the Ewoks. He was the one going one-on-one with the monster at the end, too. And he
paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
With his life. There's a blood debt to be paid, Mace.
Yeah, he's indebted to these Ewoks more than he realizes. I was trying to think of the stupid name that he has for Isrina. So Mace.
Yeah.
So we didn't really we mentioned the Wispies or whatever briefly.
This is such a difficult movie to talk about because there's so many weird things like that pop up that just tangent into other weird things.
Yeah, like just fragmented scenes that really barely have anything to do with one another. But so Isrina, the little fairy that Mace has kind of kept as a pet, is released to fly around the monster's head and distract him. And he swings his arms and smashes some rocks, and those fall and kill Chok Trua or whatever, who gives him his axe.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, no, it's your axe. You're gonna need it.
That was maybe some of the best acting from Mace right there, when he was like, you're gonna have to use this. Yeah. I was like, that's actually like the tiniest bit sad. I'm not actually being emotionally affected by this movie, but
you were like, there's something there.
Hey,
there's a heartbeat of emotion.
I mean, that's a cool specific thing to handle, and like, I mean, I've obviously seen it before in a million other movies, but like when it's like, what are you doing giving the person knows that they're dead, and then the other person is like, just can't believe it.
It is kind of like funny to me though, because he met Mace like that day.
Yeah.
They fought initially.
Well, they've been camping for a couple days.
Oh, I get passage of time is weird in this movie.
It is.
It all looks the same the entire time, so it's hard to tell. But even still, that being said, I would assume he's known a lot of those Ewoks much longer, if not his entire life.
Right.
So it's funny that he's not like, give this to or she's like, I want you to have
it. Yeah. Even though
go forth.
The move that you just did is the reason why I died, because you weren't careful about the monster going crazy and smashing rocks.
And there's that one cool shot. Speaking of like the rocks falling, I think either they shoot it or when something happens that they disrupt like a stalactite and it falls on the monster's head. Do you remember that shot?
Yeah,
Looked pretty brutal for a moment. I almost thought like the head was going to explode or something.
I did think in that moment like, that probably hurt
the guy. Shot.
Yeah. But in real life, like, that probably hurt.
Oh. Yeah. That would kill me in real life.
Yeah.
If that hit me.
I think the actor died in real life.
Blood debt. There's a blood debt to be paid, George Lucas.
Eric Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of Isrina, I guess, we already talked about it off mic, but a notable scene in the movie is when they're camping one night and there are all these little Tinkerbell-esque fairy things, firefly things flying around their camp and making an annoying sound. And the girl, Cinder, her special item that she got from Logray was a candle.
Yeah.
And she takes the candle outside, and all of the Wispies, I think is what they're called, get sucked into the candle and never seen again.
That's it for them. That's what the candle was for.
To trap all of them?
Mm-hmm. Except that one.
Right. The one they find right away, though, and it seems at first like, oh, she's like can't fly or something, but not really. Like
she can, absolutely fly agilely, as we've seen later.
Yeah. So I don't really understand why she didn't go in the candle. And then at the end, when he releases her, it's like, wait, but I had my whole family that I was with before until you put them all in the candle.
Yeah, sure. Like, it literally feels like she gets exiled at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, like back out into the wild of Endor. Alone now, though, not with your pack.
We have your whole group still in the candle, presumably, because they never came out or did anything again.
And is she like gonna take that candle on the spaceship with her like away?
It's just gonna get blown out, and I presume that when the flame goes out, they just all die.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
as soon as that little, how are they gonna get off the planet? Like the ship was like broken in half.
yeah, that's a good. I mean, these are questions that also like connect to what they're doing there, which I guess like truly there wasn't a lot of thought put in the script at all. I think. And I don't even feel like mean to the writers saying that. I think they must know.
Oh yeah,
You
no.
have to realize like there's so much contradictory stuff. Like even like the minute details of things that I think you would think about writing it. Like
absolutely would, yeah.
Just like really annoying little things that like don't make any sense.
I know.
Like, never come back or just like
yeah,
completely illogically solve problems.
I guess it doesn't really matter, but it is frustrating while you're watching it. But yeah, the most notable part about that scene is that after she sucks him on the candle and he finds the one that he names is Rena, he takes her back into their hut and he's like, I think she's hungry, and tries to give her Ewok food, which looked like a crystal, by the way, or like a big piece of salt or something. She doesn't eat that. Then she starts like flying around their faces all rapidly, and they start being like, oh, it tickles. And then they realize that, oh, that's what Rena eats. She eats tickles. So that was a line in the movie said by Cinder.
Said, and just so, if you're not going to watch the film, just so you can sort of imagine it, that is a line that is said with the background of just this, like, crazy children laughter going on. So it just sounds manic when he's like, she eats tickles!
I know. Especially because, like, it's just a post effect of the thing, so the kids are just like looking around at nothing.
I swear his eyes go different ways when he's doing it, like a chameleon, dude. It's so weird.
I know, that was so funny. The shot of him like, huh? What? Whoa! That was pretty good. But yeah, the fact that it eats tickles is a pretty notable moment.
Yeah, and as we said, she was satiated after that. Like the
yeah.
Like so it eats tickles or whatever it did.
Mm-hmm. And we never see it again until we're fighting the monster at the end, and he opens his hands, and there she goes, presumably trying to tickle the Goroks or whatever.
Yeah, hey, it eats tickles. I don't know, how do those come out?
Oh, like how are those digested? Yeah, that's a good question. And then another quick thing, when we're looking at the credits, one of the animators on these Wispy people was Henry Selick. Kind of crazy.
I did think they looked really cool.
Yes.
They were almost like, I don't know if I'm going to use like proper terminology and whatnot, but it was almost like a rotoscoped cell of like a film cell, like whited out or something.
Yeah. Like it had like a painted look to it. Like, there's like the shots when he's like holding it in his hands and it's kind of like flitting around and hitting these like vaguely humanoid poses and things. Like, that was pretty cool.
I think it's like must literally be just like a clip of an actual ballerina that they like added effects to.
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah.
I thought I saw it in there, but maybe not.
No, I mean,
really
I guess cool. I don't know for sure, but that sounds like very possible.
It was very cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that looked good.
Too bad they're like kind of randomly inserted in the movie, and there's no real reason they're there.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much like everything else, though. Trying to think if there's anything else worth mentioning in the movie. You said the music is pretty good.
I like the music a lot, and as you said, it does feel very Star Wars.
Peter Bernstein did the music for this, and it's pretty solid.
Were great credit music too.
Yeah, the credit music especially was good, and they do use Wicket's theme by John Williams at part where the kids are being brought into the village for the first time.
Nice. Lucas theme.
The pretty good song.
Do you know if he's gonna be in the next one?
Wicket?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I guess that's a good way to wrap it up. Unless you have any more thoughts or specific moments from the movie you want to shout out.
I feel like there's minor things we're missing, but really, if any of it sounded interesting, I implore everyone to go check this one out yourself. I think it could be a fun experience to watch.
Yeah. We mentioned it very briefly, but the one other thing I thought of was, so when Logray is giving them all the items, he gives the girl the candle, he gives Wicket the magic walking stick, and he gives the boy a rock. And of course the boy's like, this is stupid, why would I want a rock?
Which, by the way, can I also just say, he initially points to a crystal when he's like, that's what I'm getting?
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, the rock. But also crystals are just like another form of rock.
Yeah, but it looked cool.
I'm just saying though, it was rock for rock.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't even freaking mention the other Ewok with the crystal staff. She's who blasts the stalactite off the ceiling with like a beam of energy from the crystal staff.
God, dude, this is a weird movie.
Yeah.
Weird movie.
But I was just reminded of the part where she's like testing them somehow, and she puts the crystal in his hands and it turns into a lizard.
Yeah.
And then the girl picks it up and it turns into a mouse.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
And they all kind of react like when it turns into a lizard for him, like, ooh, yikes, I don't know. And he's like, what? It's just a lizard. I don't know. What? And then the girl picks it up and turns into a mouse, and they're all like, yay, that's good.
Well, as we all know, like, lizards are morally bad.
Yeah, and mice are good.
Yeah. Stuart Little versus Reptile from Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
That's one reptilian character I could think of.
Gex.
No, the lizard.
Gex?
Who's Gex? Ben 10?
A video game protagonist about the size of Stuart Little was what I thought of him.
No.
Just a lizard guy, secret agent lizard.
Ukulele is a thing too, right? Is that not a platformer as well where there's like a lizard guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah, I did, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like a chameleon looking guy, right?
Yeah, chameleons fall into like lizard classification.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I was just making sure I was thinking of the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But what I wanted to say about that part with Logray giving them the items, we briefly mentioned it, but he gives them 3 like headdresses. There's also some pretty like slightly questionable like Native American stuff going on here.
His whole like shaman hut, I was like, this is interesting.
And as I was trying to think of like Chaktra, I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he gives 3 of the Ewoks these headdresses with feathers on them. One is white, one is blue, and one's red. And they're like,
hey, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. And the narrator says, what they're the things of, courage and something and something. And they do put them on in the final battle against the monster, but whether or not they do anything at all, I have no idea. And you know what I just thought of? Maybe the red one is like the intelligence one, and that's what gave him the idea to make the seesaw axe.
Well, I thought red was the courage one.
Oh, you could be right.
That was the one I remembered of them all. The red being the courage one, because I also thought it was notable that character with the red one dawned on, I forget their name, whatever it was, were hiding so much during the fight. Like, it showed them hiding, being cowardice.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I remember thinking like, oh, there's going to be a moment here at the end where like they get a big win and like they show that they're brave. But thinking on it, I don't think there was.
I don't think so. And I really don't think there was. Maybe there's like one thing, but not that I can remember. And the blue one, I have no idea what the blue one is for. But at the final fight, Wicket, Cinder, the little girl, and another Ewok stay behind. because she's like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And one of the other Ewok that's not Wicket that's staying with them has the blue headdress on.
Yeah.
The only time we see them during that, the only thing that Ewok does with the blue headdress on is attempt to handstand and fall over.
Well, that is the headdress of babysit. So
okay, yeah. But literally that's what I was thinking of, like, oh, it's probably like loyalty or something where like, oh, I'll stay behind and make sure she's okay. But like, why do you need a headdress for that?
Yeah.
Just do that.
I really do want to go back and see what they were now.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Was one of them wisdom?
I'm just going to look at it real quick.
Yeah. Because I'd be curious, like, what the justification for that is. Because it is, like, crazy.
Yes.
That the ones that got the, like, headdresses, it seemed like a big thing. Like, hey, you're powerful. Like, you're our fighters.
Oh, I know. I'm reading through the plot summary and I saw a moment I totally forgot about where in Logray's hut, Logray uses his crystal image spinner to discover the location of the Tawani parents who are being held in a cage by the Gorax.
And that's actually a cool alternative to a crystal ball, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It was like a giant spinning top with mirrors on it. Okay, by the way, I've been saying Cinder. I'm sorry, it's Sindel. So anyway, yeah, that was a funny part from Mace too, where he's like, "That's my dad! I see my dad!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
he kept being like, "Where are they? What's that? Who?"
So Deej, the leader of the group, is given the white wings of hope. Weechi, his eldest son, is given the red wings of courage.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, you're right. Wicket is giving a magic walking stick. Whittle is given the blue wings of strength. So Whittle is the one who failed the handstand, even with the blue wings of strength on his head.
That's so dumb, dude. Why did they do that?
I have no idea.
Stupid. That's so stupid. That makes me, like, this is why I'm saying, like, I don't feel, like, they must know they wrote a pretty bad script here. Because it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, come on.
They're obviously intended to, have it pay off in some way initially, and then by the time they got to the end, they were like, who cares?
Is this the first draft that we want? Like,
that's what it feels like.
So strange.
It is really, yeah. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to say, is those headdresses never do anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of them, like, gave him courage to walk across the big spider web.
Was that one? Was that Ewok?
I don't know.
A lot of them sort of blend together.
Well, they do look pretty similar.
Yeah.
Especially when they're supposed to be from the same family. So, like, Wicket, I can tell what he looks like just because they focus on him the most. He's a little shorter than the other ones. And also, like we said while we were watching it, the most expressive and best actor of all the Ewoks.
When there is action, though, I do occasionally have trouble, like, telling where Wicket is.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Because his brothers and his dad are wearing, like, pretty much the same hood thing as him.
And when they're moving, it's also, like, a fur blur.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Fur blur. Fun to say.
I wanted to say it because it's fun. I just wanted to share.
Yeah.
Fur blur. Go on.
Okay. The last little.
Go on, say it. I mean, go on with your thoughts.
I said already. Fur blur.
I feel like but you're saying it quickly and not like.
Fur blur. How's that?
That's better. But
Fur blur.
That was more like a perfume commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Fur blur.
Yeah. Well.
By Ewok. By Wicket.
You could see it. FURBLUR.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You had a thought.
No, it's fine. Just a little bit of trivia, really. So we saw in the credits that the narrator was Burl Ives.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Burl Ives?
Does not ring a bell.
Well, he's like a really famous like singer in the 50s, I think. But the thing that I know him from, have you seen the Rankin Bass Rudolph like Christmas special, like the stop motion Rudolph?
Yeah. By the way, when you said Rankin for a sec, my mind went Rancor.
Oh well, hey, I'm glad that that's where your mind's going. But it's another thing that uses a lot of stop motion.
I've seen it.
No, like it has like a dentist elf and like the Island of Misfit Toys and the prospector guy and who whips
Every Christmas.
little dogs. You remember that?
Yep.
So you know the snowman in that?
No,
the narrator snowman?
No, I don't remember, honestly.
Oh, well, that's Burl Ives,
Oh, okay.
the narrator of Rudolph.
I don't remember there being a narrator to that.
He sings the song Silver and Gold, Silver and Gold. He's a snowman with like a plaid green vest on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't watch it every Christmas, so.
Yes, you do.
I
I'm gonna look it up. I'm going to look up a picture of him and you're going to recognize him.
Okay, well. Trying to erase the thought right now so I don't recognize him.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With the umbrella.
Hey, he kind of looks like the Pringles guy.
Yes, he does. Anyway, that's Burl Ives.
Oh, that's cool. I like these Star Wars connections with like other things in my childhood. I like the overlap.
Yeah. That's all I got about this that I can think of.
Yeah. I think we were gonna end it like 15 minutes ago.
But hey, we managed to talk for pretty much an hour and a half about.
We probably could do a couple more episodes on this movie if people want.
True. I mean, next episode's going to be Caravan of Courage Fallout. We'll go more into the behind the scenes, watch the documentary. No, just kidding. But next episode, you asked about the next Ewok movie, and that is not going to be next episode because that comes out, I think, 2 years later.
Okay. So what's the next episode?
Just pulling it up. So yeah, this was 1984. Next episode, 1985, is when the Ewoks cartoon and the Droids cartoon start.
Nice. I'm pretty excited for the Droids one. I'm a little indifferent about Ewok stuff right now.
Yeah.
But damn,
I can't imagine either of them are amazing. I've seen a little bit of the Droids cartoon when I was a kid. I don't really remember it though. Although
I feel like it could be authentically funny, is what I'm hoping.
I hope so. We are just going to do a little sampler of that because there's a lot of episodes and it certainly doesn't matter to like Star Wars history that much. People, oh, yes, it does. Yeah, I know it matters a little bit. And that's why we're doing a whole episode about it. So we're going to watch the pilots of both of these shows. Episode 1 of the Ewoks cartoon is called The Cries of the Trees. And episode 1 of the Droids cartoon is called The White Witch. And then we'll also watch 2 other episodes, which just, according to my brief research, people online consider them to be the highest rated episodes of the show.
Nice.
Episode 13 of the Ewoks cartoon called Asha, and episode 4 of the Droids cartoon, A Race to the Finish.
Okay.
So that's what we'll do next time. And then the following episode, we will watch The Battle for Endor, the second Ewoks TV movie.
Nice. Okay. So a little droid palate cleanser before more Ewok stuff.
Yeah. Still some Ewok stuff, though.
Yeah. I guess the way I'm going to do it is watch the Ewok thing and then watch the droid cartoon.
Yeah.
So I don't do a bunch of Ewoks back to back.
I probably will do the same. Yeah. But I heard, I haven't seen the Ewoks cartoon, but I heard that some of the lore from the Tebow book gets used in there.
Let's go!
So,
yeah. Dulocs! Dulocs, baby!
Let's see some Dulocs. Let's see some freaking Yuzums. I'm trying to see the Yuzums. Those guys look scary in the picture. I know what they actually look like in Star Wars canon, but in the drawing, which I'm assuming maybe they look closer to that in the cartoon. If they are in the cartoon, I don't know.
Yeah. They gotta pop up, right? I mean, how long did the cartoon go on for?
The Ewoks one was 2 seasons. There's like 30 episodes or something.
That's a lot.
The Droids only lasted one season.
You know they were running dry by the end of that, and they were like, okay, we gotta like sift through what Ewok content already exists to see what we can pull out here.
Oh
and
yeah,
use.
yeah, for real. Yeah, but that'll be next time. Anything else you want to say?
It eats tickles!
As always, guys, it eats tickles, and we'll catch you on the flip side.